Okay, let us begin now. So, as I have discussed previously, we had covered run method as well as implements runnable, extends thread, all those examples, all those things are being covered. Today, I'll be talking about creation of more than one thread, creation of more than one thread, where each thread belongs to a different thread class. Okay, I think the last example that we had discussed in my previous class, it talked about more than one thread only, but both or all the three threads were belonging to the same thread class. That is how today's class is different from the previous classes. Okay, so let me share, and please check whether I'm audible or not after sharing. Okay. So whether this is visible
Yes, ma'am. Visible.
and also audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so suppose that I just want to have some creation of threads like this. There is a main class. What is a main class? By the way, what is a main class? Anybody knows? You can chat also. What's a main class?
Thread class, ma'am.
Is it a thread class?
Ma'am, main class is the class that contains the main method.
Correct. The main class is a class which contains the main method. Okay. Public static void main wherever that is available, whichever class holds that, that particular class is called as main class. Okay. I have written here main, just indicating that the main class is calling an object of thread 1 and it is also calling an object of thread 2. Okay, both of these threads may belong to independent classes or may belong to what is called as anonymous thread class. Today's topic is this. Okay, how do you create a thread class, or how do you create, or what do you mean by a thread class being called as anonymous thread class? Okay, let us see an example on that. So, is this screen visible?
Um,
Yeah.
yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Now, see, whatever class, see, in this example, I have totally three classes. I have three classes in this example. The first two classes are thread classes, and the third class is the main class. Okay. Just have a look at the overview of this program. There is a class, you just see the uh, title class. Okay. For now, internal content we will modify it as and when required. So we have class, one more class and one more class. How many classes in the single program? Three classes. The first two classes that are being shown, you can just see the further of that class, name of the class followed by extends thread. The meaning of this, the first two classes are the thread classes. Okay, and then the third class talks about name of the class that is being taken as the third is same as the name of the file. So what is the meaning of this? The class that contains the main method, that class name has to be the name of the file. I'll repeat. The class that contains the main method, that class name has to be the name of the file. Okay, just have a look at this and this. The name of the class which has main method is same as the name of the program. Okay. Now, in this main method, there is a creation of T1 and T2. What are these T1 and T2? T1 is created after instantiating using the constructor thread1. Similarly, thread 2 is called to have T2 getting created. So what is thread 1? Just go back. What is thread 1? Thread 1 is a class which is extending thread class. So what is the meaning of this? Thread 1 is one of the thread classes that I have created. So, as you know, a thread class contains run method. Why that run method is required? Run method is for the functionality. Okay. So, I have not written any of the functionality here for now, but we will increment this program. We will increment this program in the coming class. That is tomorrow's class. Right now, what I have done, I have simply printed it is task 1. Then similarly, I have created one more class by name thread2 which also extends thread. See, you can have a mix and match. There is no hard and fast rule that you have to have extends thread class. You may create thread1 class by extending thread class. Thread2 can be created by implementing runnable. Accordingly, the modification has to be done in the main. Okay, please remember, if you use thread extends thread, direct creation and direct usage of the object is there. But when you write implements runnable, see this I am repeating these statements for those who have missed my previous class. Okay, if you are using implements runnable, you have to create an object of runnable interface. That object has to be passed as parameter to the thread constructor, which creates thread object. Now using that thread object, you can do all the functionalities that you want on that thread. Okay. Now, once you have created a thread class, you should have equivalent or corresponding run method. That run method has its own functionality. Why there is a requirement of more than one run method? Can anybody answer this question? Why there is a separate requirement of run method? You can even chat, guys. Okay, you can even send a message. Why there is
If there
requirement
is,
of separate run method?
if
Ma'am,
there
because
is
we want to run the two threads simultaneously.
Correct. Whenever you want to run the two threads parallelly, you should have two independent run methods. This is what is multi-threading. This is what is multi-threading. If you have for both the threads the same run method, then what is the fun in creating two separate threads? Okay, each thread having its own functionality must have its own run method. That's why two different run methods are being shown here. Now, when I go back to the main method, what will happen here? So there is a call for t1.start. Then there is a call for t2.start. See, in my previous class, I had shown you instead of start, if you call t1.run, what will happen? Already I have shown you. Okay. Now, so this simple program has three classes created, and out of which two classes are thread classes and one class is the main class. The main class spawns thread objects of the two thread classes that are being created, and independently they will call their own run method and they will run independently. But when I add synchronization among them, then there will be inter-process communication or inter-thread communication that you will see as the next topic of my class. Okay. Now, I will just go back to this presentation. I hope it is visible to you. I talked about creation of two different classes. Okay. Now there is something else also called as anonymous thread class. What is this anonymous thread class? Okay, in general terms, what is anonymous? A dictionary meaning.
Said,
What is the
ma'am,
meaning of anonymous? Yeah, yeah,
not known.
not known. What is not known? It is not only unknown, it is unknown name. Okay, name, something we can translate it as anamika. Something which doesn't have a name. Okay, that is called as anonymous. So you just can see in the current example, there is a naming given to the class. There is a naming given to the class. The first class has the name thread1. The second class has the name thread2. Okay. So in both of these, there is an explicit naming, and accordingly using those names, I am creating the thread objects. Then those objects can be used further. there is creation of thread object using a name. Okay, these are non-anonymous. They have their names. But now if you want to convert these particular classes into what are known as anonymous classes, it means what? I just want to make sure that, please listen to my statement properly. I just want to make sure that for the class as a whole, I don't want to give a separate name. Instead, as and when I create the thread object, that object itself will become the name in the future. When you are creating the new object, that object itself will become the new name for that particular thread class. Okay, let me just go to the example. The same example, I have not changed anything. So, if you want to convert that particular example into an example having anonymous thread class, then you are converting it like this. Previously, you had how many classes? 3 classes. So imagine if you want to have 100 threads, you should have 100 different classes plus 1, that is the main class. I think you're getting what I'm trying to tell. If you have 50 threads, 50 different thread classes plus 1, the main class, 51 thread classes have to be written. And 51 thread classes names you have to remember. Okay. Instead of that, as and when I require that functionality can be added to a thread which has its own object getting created at that moment. It is momentary. Okay, so this is an advantage where as and when I require that, I will create the thread. Instead of creating and keeping at once, using it by if you want to use that particular thread, you have to remember the names of the thread class that you have created. That becomes tedious. Okay, so definitely both of the methodologies have their own advantages, their own disadvantages. Okay, what is the disadvantage of this anonymous thread class? We will see when we complete this example. Okay, Aditi, you have any queries because you have unmuted? Yeah. So no. Okay. So you have one class created anonymous thread example. If you can see, it is very clearly written. This is the only class that has been created in the whole of the program. Okay. Now, inside this, I have created the main. And look at the way thread object T1 is created. Just have a look at this. What is this? Thread T1 equal to new thread. Is there any specific class name given? When you compare this with this example, is there any specific constructor name given? No. It is a general constructor, thread constructor, which is available for all. It has been created like that. Then there is opening curly brace. It is similar to variable declaration or variable declaration along with initialization. You are assigning, as in when the thread object getting created, you are assigning the functionality to it. This is called initialization. So you are telling at the time of the creation what for you have created. What for you have been created, that is being given as an input as soon as the thread object getting created. Okay, this is how anonymous classes are better compared to the thread class. Of course, it has disadvantages. Okay, so let me go ahead with this. What has been written? Please have a look at it. Thread T1 equal to new thread. So what is this thread given here? It is a constructor of general thread class that is available. Then there is an opening curly brace because you have written constructor here. Okay, or you have written unnamed thread class definition. Unnamed thread classes definition you are writing. There is an opening curly brace. Inside that, I am writing its own run method, that is corresponding run method. Similar to that, task 1, whatever I had written, the same thing is been written here. Of course, in tomorrow's class, this will be clumsied or this will be enhanced with the functionality. Okay, simple examples I have taken for the simplicity of explanation. Now, what this talks about, it is talking about the run method of T1. Now I don't call it as thread 1, I call it as T1. There is ending of run method, there is ending of the definition of T1, and there is a semicolon. It means what? Declaration and initialization are combined. So there is a semicolon. Then similarly, I have created T2, thread T2 equal to new thread, and corresponding run method, and that run method, end of the anonymous class followed by a semicolon. So both of these are done as part of where? As part of the main class or inside the main method. So what is getting happened here? In the main method, there is a creation of two threads, T1 and T2. T1 getting assigned with the first set of instructions inside the run method. T2 getting assigned with its own set of instructions, and all those are happening as part of main method, which contains or which has one main thread. So in this way, if you create a thread object without using any class's name, then that kind of object creation is called as anonymous thread creation, because it doesn't have its corresponding class name. Instead, it belongs to the main thread class. Any doubt at this point? Of course, there are disadvantages we will be discussing soon. Any doubts here?
Good morning, ma'am.
Yeah, good morning. Who is speaking?
Ma'am, I'm Aditi.
Yeah, tell me.
So while calling the run method for these two threads, is it
Yeah.
the same as the previous example?
It is the same as the previous example. There is no difference. Okay. After you have created these anonymous classes, there is a call for T1.start, T2.start. Okay. Yeah. But previously what was there? These two classes were separate, and then using those class names you have created objects for T1 and T2. Then using those T1 and T2 you had called the start method. Okay, I hope you are understanding now. But here there is only one class which contains main, which has two anonymous thread classes created with the objects. Using those objects you have called the start method.
Yes, ma'am, it's clear.
Okay, yeah. Any other doubt? We have not yet discussed the disadvantages of it. Any other doubts? Okay, can anybody tell me how this is useful? Why these are useful? Can anybody comment?
Ma'am, as you mentioned earlier, there's no need to remember all the class names if we go with the previous method.
Correct. Any other? Is there any disadvantage of this? Can you think? Is there any disadvantage?
I think we can't write it outside a class.
You cannot write it outside the class as well. See, imagine there is a repetition of functionality. Okay. You want to use that functionality even in some other class. These, when you write inside this class, they will become local to that class. Okay, so inter-class communication, if you want to use the same functionality, write once and use many times. Something like that you want to apply. It may not work every time. Okay, that is the disadvantage of using this kind of method. But when you take as and when required, I will call. If you have that principle, as and when required, I will create and use it. If you have that kind of principle, then this becomes much easier, because wherever required, create, write the functionality, create, write the functionality. No need to remember those many class names. Okay. Now, guys, I will be giving you one simple assignment and I'll be showing you this program. Please try writing the program on your own. Okay. Take down. Write a Java program. Write a Java program to create two different tasks. To create two different tasks and two different tasks using two different thread classes. Using two different thread classes and create the objects of both the classes. Create the objects of both the classes where the first thread class, where the first thread class prints factorial of the given number, prints factorial of the given number, and the second thread class prints the table of the number given. Table means the multiplication table. Any doubt in the question that I have given? Any doubt in the question that I have given? Okay. So what you are supposed to do, you have to create two thread classes where the first thread class must have the run method having functionality to print the factorial of the given number. The second thread must print the multiplication table for the given number. Okay. So for time being, I will stop the sharing. Okay. You can just have a glance of it. You just have a glance of it, how you can write. I will stop sharing and parallelly I will be typing the program. Okay. So once you are done, please in the chat you can write done. Make it fast. Is anyone completed? Yes, completed. Anyone completed? No one is speaking. No one is speaking. Okay, can I share the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you have tried doing it. You have tried writing it.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Let me just share the screen. Okay, this is simple program extending to the next level of application. Okay. So let me share the screen. Just have a look at it, what I have done. Please go through each and every line properly. Okay, in the main, I have enter an integer that I have given in the main. So I'll be reading the integer using scanner. Then that integer I am passing as parameter to thread1 as well as thread2 constructor. I will repeat. I have read the value of n, that is number. That n I have passed as parameter to thread1 as well as thread2 constructor. Then there is a call for t1.start and t2.start. Okay. Whenever t1.start is called, this particular constructor passing is taken into consideration. Then it will go to thread1. In the thread 1, what I have done? I have used thread 1 constructor to do initialization. Whatever that I have passed, that I am storing it locally into a variable m. Okay. Now I will begin with the run method. After inside this run method, the factorial program, simple thing that we do, that I have written. Initially, I have declared fact equal to 1 and using the for loop, I have computed the factorial of the number m. Just 1 minute. Okay, then 5 minutes. Just 1 minute, guys. Okay, so I have done what? Factorial or calculation using the simple for loop. Then I have printed it. So that printf says system.out.println task1 that is getting replaced with the task1. I hope you are understanding the difference between the first program and the current program that I have written. Okay. Then in the second thread class, the same thing I have done. Whatever number that I have passed, that number getting assigned with the local variable m. Using that local variable m, what is that I want? I want the multiplication table of the number that is being given as input. So what is nothing but the multiplication table? That numbers 1 into m, 2 into m, 3 into m, so on up to 10 into m. So it is a simple for loop again. I is equal to 1, I less than equal to 10 I plus plus, and I am just printing m star I in every line. Okay. So this whole program, if you want me to glance again, I will glance it again. Okay. Just comment on it, please. Just comment on it. I hope you have done the same way. I hope you have done the same way. Okay, accordingly, if you want to convert this into anonymous class, what is that you are doing? You are just copying that run part into this. You are copying that run part into this, and since all the classes as well as the main method are available as part of the same class, there is no requirement of constructor to initialize m. You can read the value of m over here directly. Before creating the thread, you just can read the number that you want to input. That number you can utilize in the run method. This is an advantage. This is an advantage in anonymous class. Okay. Now, if I try to run this program, let me run this program. So it is asking me enter an integer. Let me enter 5. Okay, what has happened? It has printed me factorial as well as it has printed the multiplication table. Let me run it again. Let me run it again. I just want to have that situation where thread 2 prints first, then thread 1 prints. No, every time it is happening the same. Yeah, just have a look at this output. See, purposely I have run the program for more than 3 times. I hope you have seen. I hope you have seen. Every time it has printed me different kind of output. Just have a look at this kind of output. I wanted this kind of output. That's why I made it to run more than once. So just have a look at it. What is happening? 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42 has been printed. This belongs to what? Thread 2. This belongs to thread 2. Then there is printing of factorial of 7. Then the thread 1's task continued. This is called interleaving. There is no proper communication between the two. Everyone is the owner. Both of them are doing on their own what they want. There is no control over it. This kind of output showcases on what is called as monitoring the threads. There is a requirement of monitoring of threads. Otherwise, all the threads start doing their own task on their own without actual proper separation between the two. Okay, this kind of problem can be avoided by using what is called as synchronization. Okay, that's why we require what is called as inter-thread communication. I require what is known as inter-thread communication. Okay, now what I will do, I will simply add one thing to this. Okay, what is that I have done? I have simply added dot join. Why it cannot be added? Okay. Okay, so what is that I have done? Oh, sorry. So what is that? I will resolve that problem because it is giving me that problem because I have to add try catch block. Okay. Otherwise, whatever I have done, that holds good. So what point I want to tell, only that point I will talk now. So what is that? I have something called as thread synchronization. The simplest thread synchronization is by calling join on the thread you want to have higher priority. So what this statement does? This statement does, there is interleaving of threads, correct? T1 is interleaved with the T2. That can be avoided by using what is called as join method. This is simplest way of synchronizing. Why it is giving me error? You may ask me this question, why this is giving me error? Because similar to that sleep method, I require try catch block here. Okay, let me write that. I hope I have enough time. Okay, you can just see that error which was there has been gone. Reason for that? Because join also requires, similar to the sleep method, interrupted exception. Why it is required? Because whenever you call a join on any particular thread object, it makes sure that that particular thread, until and unless it completes, no other can interrupt. No other thread can interrupt. Okay, so if any thread is trying to interrupt that thread, then it will throw interrupted exception. That's why this try catch block is required for it. Okay, now let me run this program again. I hope you remember the kind of output we had got previously. Now I will run this program again. I'll give 7. Just have a look at it. Factorial of m equal to 5040 has come first. Then there is printing of multiplication table. Let me rerun this. Say 7 again. Let me rerun this. Let me rerun this. Say 8. Let me run it again. N number of times you run it, it will do the same thing because there is explicit synchronization mentioned. What is this explicit synchronization? Without using any other synchronization methods available in Java, we have a simplest method of synchronizing, that is called as join method. there are disadvantages of join method, which I will be discussing in the next class when I take thread synchronization. Okay, but now what I have done, I have started that thread and made it to join. Okay, so this makes sure that until and unless T1 completes its task, T2 cannot interrupt.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah, yeah.
Instead of writing T1 dot start, if we wrote T1 dot run and T2 dot run, it would have done the same thing. Then why are we going for dot
Aditi,
join?
I think last class I have mentioned you about T1.run usage instead of start, what it does. I have already mentioned. Okay. If you want me to repeat, I will repeat it. What is the difference between calling the T1.run directly, calling T1.start directly? Can anyone who has attended my previous class, can anybody comment on this?
I did
Pardon.
your last
I'm unable to hear you.
class.
I'm unable to hear you, Aditi, properly.
Ma'am, I have attended your last class.
Yeah. I will tell you the
But I
difference.
have attended your last class.
Okay. I'll tell you the difference. What is the difference is,
Yeah.
I'll just come back. I will stop sharing. Okay. The major difference is when you call directly the run method doesn't treat T1 as thread object. It treats it as a simple class object. See, thread is different, other object is different. Any other object that you create, that other object is different, thread is different. Okay, thread has its own way of working. Thread has its own way of working. So if you assume that object as thread object, only then all the synchronization, the join, the sleep, all these will work out. Otherwise, if you treat it as a simple object, all those thread functionalities will not be workable. So when you call T1.run, run creates a separate stack trace for that particular T1 object. Stack trace means a separate memory. Okay, as you call a method. When you call a method, there is a jump over from the current method to the another method. Simple context switching. So it treats it as simple context switching among the functions, two different functions. It doesn't think that it is a thread. A normal object. If you think that it is a normal object, so independently the things are working. All this thread synchronization will never work. Okay, if you call using dot start, then start triggering run, that actually creates thread object properly and makes the object as thread object.
Ma'am, but I read somewhere that we can't run, like we can't call a thread dot start more than once in one program. So if we want to call,
One particular threads dot start you cannot call more than once.
yes, ma'am.
It will
So
throw an
like
exception.
we can't call T1 dot start and then T1 dot start again, right?
No, you cannot call. You cannot
So
call.
ma'am, if I want to run the thread twice, will I have to write T1 dot start and then T1 dot run?
Then I think that T1.run, whatever you have called, no? That, okay. Yeah, if you want to call more than once, then you can run T1.run more than once. But again, it will not add to the actual usage of threads. That is the
Yes, ma'am. It's
disadvantage
just
of,
treated as a function.
yeah,
Yes,
it will treat it as a function. So thread usage will not be there. Then what is the fun in calling 2 times?
yes, ma'am.
Yeah. I hope Aditi you are clear with it.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah, any other doubts? Any doubt in the program that I have modified? So why there is a need for thread synchronization? I hope you have understood it. Okay, there is a question here by Amrut. What if we use join for T2? So definitely T2 will take over. So with which thread you have called that join, no? That thread will have the priority. Until and unless that thread completes its task, it will not allow any other thread to go on. Join has its own disadvantages. Soon in my next class, when I begin the thread synchronization, I will talk about join. Then I will go for all other ways in which you can use thread synchronization. I hope I am clear. Any doubts?
Ma'am,
Yeah, who is speaking? I have left out with only 2 minutes.
Ramya ma'am.
Yeah, Ramya, go ahead.
Can we call join again and again for different threads?
Different threads you can call. Imagine there are 10 threads. I will tell you an instance. Imagine if you have 10 threads, then out of those 10 threads, if you want to give like T1.join, T2.join, T3.join, so then how this will work? Soon after T1 completes, T2 gets, T2 completes, T3 gets. Then afterwards you are not given any other thread join. Then any other thread will get into.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Any other thing?
Ma'am, but doesn't join take away the synchronization of the threads? Like, isn't synchronization mean like they're gonna run simultaneously?
Yeah. This is a disadvantage of join. That's the disadvantage of join. So I'll take up in the next class how that join will actually take away from us the parallelism. Okay?
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Any other thing? I think for the first time all